stay in the game life gives you and then play it again. It's, or walk away and find another table. That was one thing, I grew up watching a lot of people play cards, and it was something just as an observation I got to pick up on how people were, when people get caught up in the moment but don't know when to leave a table and they sit at a table for too long. And then maybe you lose it all. Where other people know when to fold and when to walk away, and then it gives them a chance to restart all over again. So moving and picking up your responsibilities, no one else will do that. You have to take up the slack for your own responsibility. Just move and go, act right, wrong, make a mistake, have an experience. You have to learn and grow. So no one knows this better than yourself, and every growth has a risk, every mistake has a risk and a consequence to it. But if you just stand by and don't do anything, it's going to starve yourself inside. So have active engagement. That's okay. Meet people, have friends. No one is perfect. This is real life. We all try to prevail in the test of our own reflection. So adoption to straighten yourself out, you have to adapt daily and see what's necessary. Your moral obligation to show your potential to every single person. You're going to want to take and be your own person. So as you go through this, today, looking at market watches and stuff, I was going through and really watching some of the stuff that's happened in the economy. And, that led me to, like the news in Mexico. There's a giant sinkhole, and it's swallowing land across the world. There's sinkholes happening everywhere. Once again, this causes local communities to rethink their resources and affects geographics in all already struggling nations. The United States, they just raided and seized millions in private property in a vault with possible cartel links associated to it. While documents are supposed to be released soon about unidentified flying objects, in my opinion, if there are other crafts out there, most people would be like, cool, okay. We got a lot going on already, so I think from a 30 to 40 year old perspective, when you're sitting at a little bit of an older age, you're like, there's a lot going on in this world, so I guess we'll deal with that next month. We mentally checked it. You said there's unidentified flying objects. We've heard that for years, but next month we'll kind of see how this is going, because you have to really look at what's coming up. All the home prices that are rising up, apartment living rental, the economy. Yes, we're in summer, but with the rising temperatures driving homeless society camps, fall will be coming, then winter will creep up fast. So how well are you prepared in your own life? How well are you prepared for all these disaster events to take place? Staying with the economy and market sectors, if you look at things, like Plug Power, and investing in anything is risk, and I'm not telling anyone to invest in anything. I'm not giving advice. I'm just noticing things as I'm going through and looking at charts, reading data, analysis stuff. Plug Power, it's gaining another gradual trend, and it's hovering around like $30 with a 52-week high of $75.49. But when I look at power sources, make sure you're doing your research if you're investing in anything. And I bring this to light just because it's one of those things as more power and more stuff is coming out and people are adapting, and all these big businesses, you have to look at places in the news where, like the Hoover Dam Reservoir, the water level just dropped dramatically. That leaves a multiple state impact. when you're looking at a commonality in a community of drinking water, crops being produced, this is a highly impacted zone. And the impacts are unseen now. We'll feel them a month, 18 months down the road. We're going to feel these full impacts. But they will still be felt, on a daily in the United States right now, in the hard geographic locations, and it's and that affects, what we're distributing out, what we're bringing in. So it changes the divide, in terms of what people do, what jobs are available. Is that farmer going to really be able to employ a bunch of people when he doesn't have water to water his land? Is he going to have to sell his land? It changes all this stuff. Meanwhile, you have countries, you have places out there, in recent news with Victoria, Australia. They were impacted by a major flood. It had thousands of homes being impacted, at high volumes. So, and that's coupled with a mouse plague that's also going on in Australia. So when you look at some of that stuff, it definitely changes your dynamics as far as, not only is there a flood going on, but now they have a major mouse plague going on their land. That's affecting their crops both ways. That's affecting their water distribution. That's affecting everything as far as, your living. Some of the stuff I've seen, that would be a terrible way to live, being in a house knowing that you can hear rodents running through your walls. That's not a great place to live. And then you have the feces runoff, and the water runoff run the feces runoff into your fresh, clean water supply. You have many countries going through many devastating things. And then you also have oil coupled with that. So if you look at a market watch, and once again, do your research, make sure you're doing your research fully. But with the OTC market, when I watch stuff on there, Tiger Oil, TGRO, they're showing a movement of an upward today. So they're around 0.0012 to 0.0017. If you look at them with a 52-week high of 0.0043, they're one that may show a potential gain or a potential loss, depending on if you want to sit in something for long term. And it looks like if you're holding stuff for the next year, if you're looking at holding stuff for the next 5 years, it looks like things will be coming back. But I'm watching these slow, gradual trends and seeing which economic factors, which sectors are really being hard hit. Max sound was hovering around 0.0025 with a 52-week high at 0.0196. If they rebound throughout the year, that could be an 8 times potential yield. So always remember, your taxes are involved in this stuff. And the end of the year reported income gains. As you enter, the back half of 2021, the keynote too for me is I've been looking at how things play in the market as far as the Russell Index to report soon. That's coupled with inflation. So I'm watching to see how things on market charts are just changing. And these are a couple that I just use for examples where I've been keeping an eye out to see how the market is impacting things with inflation and